Hello, everyone. So, a lot of your posts this last week had to deal with communication apprehension or anxiety related to public speaking. And so I figured might as well talk about some of that which was in the readings this last week and some of the notions of audience that are in the readings for this week. So, public speaking anxiety, preparation anxiety, fear of public speaking, in Latin is called glossophobia. Glossa meaning tongue, phobia, of course, meaning fear. So it's fear of the tongue. And it is interestingly most commonly related to, psychologically speaking, the fear of being eaten. And I know that's kind of weird. It sort of begs the question, like, really, what? Or how does it relate to that? But when you break it down a little bit, it makes more sense. Now, this doesn't mean like you get up to speak and your audience turns into zombies and like shambles up and takes big bites out of you. It's not that sort of fear of being eaten. In public speaking, we expose ourselves. When we get up and we talk to people in whatever context, be it one person to 100, one person to one person to 10, we give away a little bit of who we are. And the anxiety surrounding that is that people will get a taste of who we are and they won't want to hear more, which brings it back to that fear of being eaten. Somebody's going to get a taste of who you are and they won't want another one. And so it's a fear of judgment when we base it down there. So in this particular discussion posting section, we're going to talk a little bit about public speaking fears, what we can do about it, and then I want to hear some things from you, which I'll detail here later on in the post. But do keep in mind that I can't solve this problem for you. I can't, plain and simple. But what we can do through various modes of preparation, through thinking about things logically and really trying to work through things to the best of our abilities, is we can help you get around that fear. It can help you to ignore it, to give you opportunities to get past it. And that's what we're going to try and do through a lot of our blog posts or discussion postings this semester. So let's begin by looking at what some of the greatest fears in our society are. This is a survey that was conducted by Chapman University, published in the Washington Post. Chapman University is a very prestigious research institution, and the Washington Post vets their sources and their information very carefully. So this is a fairly believable survey when we take a look at it. And when we look down through these, we see up there at the top, of course, public speaking. My discipline is feeling pretty good right now. And then when we work down through here, we see a variety of other things that people are afraid of. So heights, bugs and snakes and other animals, drowning, blood and needles, claustrophobia, flying, strangers, zombies, darkness, clowns, and then finally ghosts. The interesting thing about these is when we work up through them, most of these have a very definitive end. The fear of ghosts is psychologically rooted in possession, people coming back to haunt you, driving you insane, and eventually killing you. Fear of clowns is that these very demonic-looking things find you, torture you to death, and you die, right? And of course, it was just released this last weekend, and I'm sure that fear has just exploded right now. Fear of darkness has to do with being crushed by the things around you, and you die. The fear of zombies is that they bite you, and you die. The fear of strangers is they break into your home and kill you, and you die. The fear of flying isn't so much that fear of like moving through the air, it is the plane coming down out of the sky, crashing, and you die. Claustrophobia has to deal very similar with darkness. So you're trapped in an enclosed space, everything collapses down on you, and you die. You see a pattern developing here, right? Blood and needles, of course, like you bleed out or you get stuck with the wrong sort of wrong medicine, poison, etc., and you die. Drowning, you die. It's pretty simple. Bugs and snakes, you get envenomated from a bite, and you die. And heights, of course, you fall all the way down and you die. So very definitive ends for most of these, but public speaking, well, that fear is rooted a little differently. When people get up to speak in public, instead of dying, they just want to die. And instead, it's more a fear of going forward afterwards. Which relates back to when we were talking about here just a minute ago. The public speaking is rooted in that fear of judgment, of being eaten, of being swallowed up whole, spit out, and never to be enjoyed again. And we do need to understand some things about our audience, as you probably found out in the readings this week, but let's move forward here. So what we need to do in preparation for our public speaking engagements this semester is work through some things. We need to talk about imagery triggers and developing better visualization about who you are and what you're going to be. And then we need to do what we call cognitive restructuring, where we take some of those dark thoughts that people have before public speaking and we try and refocus them. So here's some things that perhaps have gone through your head in the past or may go through your head here later on in the semester that a lot of people hear, and maybe some ways we can look through and reset these. So first of all, we hear this a lot from people in public speaking. I don't have any strength as a speaker, which is simply not true, and we all know this already. Instead, you need to focus on what you do well. It could be that you have really good vocal projection. Perhaps your eye contact is excellent. You have very verbose hand gestures. Or if nothing else, you know that you can speak at a normal rate of speaking. And there's no way on earth that you have absolutely zero strength as a speaker. You already know this in your heart. So I want you to focus as you practice, as you get ready, on what you do well. And we're going to build upon that. If it makes you feel any better, and we'll talk more about this later as speech one really comes up, and as far as grading goes, the first speech, I'm less concerned about delivery. I'm more concerned about content. I want you to find something important to say, something that matters to you, something that you want to share with your classmates. And then after you finish that, then go and focus on delivery. As we move further through the semester, delivery is going to become more and more important. But this first speech, very content-based. And please, trust me, I've been doing this for 12 years. I have several degrees. I have several publications in the matter. I can tell you from experience, content is vastly more important than delivery. Which is not to say that delivery isn't important. It's that we still want you to have something good to say before you figure out a good way to say it. You may have also thought, I'm too nervous to do well. And maybe that's the truth. But at the same time, if you've prepared well, and you know this very simple thing, a little nervousness can actually help. Look at it this way. I guess not look at it this way, but let's look at facts. When you get nervous, that's adrenaline coursing through your system. And what we know about adrenaline is it's an accelerant. It will actually make you give more hand gestures. It will probably make you speak out a little bit more. It gives your eyes a little bit of shine, which people don't look at and say, oh, that person's crying. What they see is a fervent desire to share something important to themselves. Nervousness can be a good thing. You just have to learn how to temper it, and that comes with practice, comes with experience, comes with just doing this, which is what we're going to do here throughout the semester. And there it is right there, that big fear. They will think I'm stupid. They'll think I'm boring. They'll think I'm inarticulate. And my goodness, nothing could be further from the truth in a class like this. I believe this about students in COM 103, and I believe I'm going to go out and just believe this about you as well, that your audience wants you to do well. I want you to do well. I'm not sitting here on the other side of my camera thinking, oh yes, they're going to throw out a bunch of terrible grades. No, I want you to succeed, and your classmates do too, because we're extremely empathetic as listeners. Your classmates are going to go through the exact same thing you are. They're going to give those same speeches. They're going to give them to you. They're having those same thoughts. And really, when they see you succeed, it gives them confidence in themselves that they can succeed. And we are extremely empathetic as viewers, as purveyors of media, of presentations, of emotions. Think of this real quick. I'm certain that this has happened to all of you. You've been watching a television show, a movie, or reading a book where you really empathize with the characters. This is a person that you see a lot of similarities of yourself in. And they do something embarrassing, and you get embarrassed, like your cheeks flush. You feel a little self-conscious. Or something happens and they get really happy, and you get happy. This same thing is going to happen as we watch our presentations. We already saw it in the first week. Look back through the discussions and the way people are commenting. We get really excited when you get excited. We get really empathetic of the struggles that you have. Your audience in this class wants you to do well. Have no doubt about it. You might have this one going through your head. I don't have anything important to say. Also not true. We're going to do some good research. You're going to prepare. You're going to pick topics that you're interested in. We're going to make sure of that. In particular, this first speech, which again we'll talk about later, is about a community concern. Well, a lot of you already brought those up in your introductory speeches. Things that you care about, things that you want to make a difference about. That's why I asked you specifically to talk about why you chose the major you chose. Because it tells us something about you. It gives you a chance to express things that are really important to you. And we can find a lot of speech topics really just based on that initial discussion. Oh, and this one. Oh my goodness. It has to be a perfect performance. Please let this go. Forget about it right now. You will not give a perfect speech. Not this semester. Not ever. And you know how I know that? Because it's impossible. No one's ever done it. I've never given a perfect speech. Martin Luther King Jr., arguably the greatest speaker of the last century, never gave a perfect speech. Abraham Lincoln never gave a perfect speech. Marcus Tullius Cicero, one of the guys that you read about in Julius Caesar, one of the most prophetic, empathetic, and amazing speakers that history has ever seen, never gave a perfect speech. It's just not going to happen. We're going to mess up. We're really going to mess up. A lot. And I'm going to mess up this semester too. I mean, you've heard me already give some verbal flubs. I check myself and go back. Plain and simple. I won't be perfect. You won't be perfect. But we can share the things that we know, that we've researched, that we care about. And we can do so in a way that hopefully engages our audience. We're going to talk more and more about that this semester. Because our audience really is the most important part of public speaking. It's the way we tailor our message to our audience that dictates how well we do. It's the way we consider our audience, giving them what sources of information, what bits of emotion we want to show, what bits of problems and solutions we want to approach. And that's all dictated by the audience and knowing our audience well. Now, beforehand, I know you're going to get a little hopped up. We got to figure out a way to get rid of excess energy. I encourage you before giving our live speeches this semester, really even before recording, don't change your routine. If you go to the gym every day, don't skip that on the day that we do a speech. Go. You need that. And if you feel you've got too much energy, go run around your house a couple times. Go to the gym. Do some sit-ups. Whatever it is that you do to get rid of that excess energy, it could be exercise, it could be playing video games, it could be cooking something. Do it. Know what helps you relax, and do so before these times, and it'll help you get rid of some of that nervous energy. When you start speaking, don't apologize to us. You should never begin presentation with, "I'm sorry." "I'm sorry" gives the audience a reason to doubt you. And we don't need that. We're already feeling unconfident enough, but if we start with, "I'm sorry, I don't feel well. I'm sorry, I don't feel prepared," instantly, whoever's listening to you knows that they don't have to trust you, that they don't have to believe you, they don't have to listen to you. So never undercut yourself like that. Whether it's in this class, any of your other classes, in your professional lives to come, when you're speaking to friends and family, never start with, "I'm sorry." It's okay to apologize later because, sometimes things go wrong, but only do so if you're incredibly sincere. And when you write your emails to me, as you probably will this semester, don't say, "Hey, I'm sorry, I can't figure this out. I'm sorry, I don't know." Just ask. You don't have to apologize for asking me questions. I'm happy to have them. You don't have to apologize to your audience because we're happy to listen to you. Folks, remember to breathe. Yeah, people forget to breathe when they start speaking. We just get in this crazy rush. But it's scientifically proven that long, slow, deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, will slow your heart rate. Athletes do this because it helps them relax. And professional speakers also do this. If you look back at some old Steve Jobs videos, you'll see him do this sometimes. He'll stop for a second, just... And it's not just a moment to collect his breath, it's helped him calm down. I'll do it too. You won't see it as much because you're not sitting in classes with me for 3 hours, but my goodness, I know sometimes I gotta slow down and breathe. And really, if it helps in your notes for your speeches, write that down. If you're practicing, you're having problems with that, leave reminders to yourself. Breathe. Take a breath. Slow down. Pause. And certainly, take moments of pause. when I do large speaking engagements, I'll sometimes go out and speak for an hour, 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours. I never do so without something to drink besides me. Right? Glass of water, coffee, whatever it is that you want to have with you, energy drink, soda, tea. The university does frown on us bringing alcoholic beverages to campus if you are at home, though I don't encourage you to drink a lot of alcohol before speaking. There are studies that show that before business and professional speaking organizations get together and have stuff, there is an open bar and people will have a drink and relax themselves. Again, I'm not endorsing that. I'm just saying that there's research to support that some people feel better after that. And find yourself a supportive face. I know that seems a little more unusual here in online public speaking, but we're going to be giving our speeches live via Skype. You're going to see windows with your classmates' faces on them, and it's going to be smaller groups. As you're going to see in one of our other discussion forums, I'm going to have you sign up for speaking days here this semester, this week. And my intention there, and I'm sure whether you've watched that video first or this one, my intention there is to have you in small discussion groups throughout the semester. So this is the last week we'll be in big discussion groups. We'll move to smaller, like 5 to 8 person groups. And you're going to get to know these people through discussion. It'll be easier to fill up the discussion board with replies that way. And as you get to know them, you're going to find some familiar faces that you can look at when we're giving these speeches. And it will help. And as far as audience members go, folks, take care of your speakers. Smile at them. Be good, attentive audience members. Nod. Laugh. Look angry when they want you to look angry. Be a good audience member because it's going to help with the speakers. And be the audience member that you would like your classmates to be. Afterwards, again, breathe. Relax. You're done. Congratulate yourself. And don't apologize at the end of your presentation. Just let the presentation speak for itself. Hopefully we'll have time to get some feedback from your classmates, perhaps some questions. Be ready for that. We have strict time limits on our speeches. You can't go above a certain time. And you're not going to get in everything that you wanted to say. Your classmates might actually have more questions. So you got to be ready for them. And certainly, when you go out into your professional lives, after you give a presentation, you're not going to sit down and be quiet. People will have lots of questions for you. You're going to be able to need to be able to explain your ideas more in depth. Think of your presentation as almost a preview for all the things to come. Now, as you go through and do this, I want you to remember 3 super important, the most important things in preparing for any public speaking situation. Number 1, practice. Practice your presentation. And practice it smartly. Don't start at the beginning. Start at the end. This is actually what I do. Rather than beginning with my introduction, I start practicing my conclusions first. And then as I feel like the conclusion is cemented in me, I go back and I add a little bit more. And the reason I do this is because I always want to be headed someplace that I'm familiar with. If you start at the beginning and start over every time you make a mistake, you're always headed into unfamiliar grounds. But if you start practicing at the end, you're always headed someplace you feel more comfortable, more confident. And think of this as well. I'm sure you've watched a lot of presentations in your lives already. People can learn to start presentations really well, but not everybody finishes like a freight train. And one of the things I want you to leave here in this class with is the ability to really finish a speech, to cement things at the end. We'll talk more about introductions and conclusions later. I feel like conclusions are probably more important than introductions. You can recover from a poor introduction. You can't recover from a poor conclusion. Number 2, practice. Folks, know your presentations, know your stuff, know your research, know your audience. And you're not going to know that without practicing. And finally, perhaps the most important of the 3 is practice. And when you do this, practice like you're in the situation. Now here we have an interesting situation. We have this almost teleprompter-like thing going on, the camera going. But when you practice in front of the computer. Don't grab your notes and look down at your desk and read silently to yourself. Look at your webcam. Look at your audience. Imagine as they might be there. If you have an in-class presentation this semester in one of your other classes, go to that room and practice in the room. Or at the very least, set yourself up in that situation as much as you possibly can. So stand, read out loud or speak out loud. Present as if there's an actual audience before you. Because the more familiar you are with that mode of practice, the more confident you're going to seem when you give your speech. All right? So what I want you to do in this discussion forum is this is going to be a video post. It means a 3 to 5 minute video as per our syllabus rules. And what I want you to do with this particular video post is I want you to show us something that you do to relax. Explain why it relaxes you. Explain why it might help to do this before you give a presentation this semester. And then talk to us a little bit about what it means to you. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, why this particular activity helps you relax. Because these are the things that are going to help us really get to know you as a person. And it's going to help us later be better speakers. All right. Have fun with this. Take your phone, your laptop, your webcam out into the world. Like if it's like you go fishing, then fine. Like take us out fishing, right? If you work on a vehicle, if you cook, like show us this activity. Help us understand a little bit more about you. And then when time comes, here later in the semester, do it. Help yourself relax. And afterwards, folks, and this is probably one of the most important things that I can tell you this semester, after your presentations, be kind to yourself. All right? It might not go as well as you would like it to. And I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying it because it's a reality, it's a possibility. Be kind to yourself. Reward yourself when you've done well. Take yourself out to ice cream. Go have a beer or another beverage. Call a friend. Call your grandmother. Hang out with your dog. Read a book. Fall in love. Reward yourself when you've done well. And when you haven't done well, debrief. Think about what happened. What can you do to fix that? And then move on. We got a lot of semester ahead of us. 15 weeks. And if you're not going to be kind to yourself, there'll be some problems. So we need to learn how to take care of ourselves. We need to learn how to reward ourselves. We need to learn how to celebrate our classmates. But be kind to yourself. I really look forward to your videos in this post this week. And I hope you have fun making them. We will see you here on the discussion forums. I'll post up probably one of my own videos as well here later on in the week. I think probably I'll go down and do some fishing myself and show you a little bit of action here in the Milwaukee River. See you soon.